honestly love any excuse to talk about Paris, and that's what we're doing today. I am so excited for this video. I don't usually do stuff like this, and I don't at all feel qualified to be giving my Paris favorites, but if you didn't know, I just came back from a month-long trip in Paris, and it's my second time going to Paris. And honestly, on my trip I had so many people throughout my trip just asking me like what I was doing, where I was going, how did I plan everything, how did I make a month-long trip to Paris happen, blah blah blah, everything like that. So I thought I would make this video for everyone, just so everything is all in one place and it's easy for you to find. If you guys want to do something like this, then this is the video for you. This is just everything I did, everywhere I went, places I would recommend, things like that. I guess a little rundown on my trip for people who aren't familiar. I went to Paris for a month. I had a week and a half where I was alone, so I did do my first ever bit of solo traveling for that week and a half. My best friend actually came and joined me after that, and she was with me for the rest of the trip. We were together for about 3 weeks, and in that time we predominantly stayed in Paris, but we also did a 4-day trip to London and then a 5-day trip to the south of France. Now let's talk about where I stayed. So I stayed in the 2nd arrondissement. It was kind of between the 2nd and the 3rd, so it was like right near Le Marais. I loved the area we stayed in. It was so beautiful. We actually stayed in an actual apartment, so we went through a place called Blue Ground. We looked into Airbnbs and hotels and all of that, and just nothing was really, like, everything was so expensive. Nothing was really in the areas we wanted, or it just wasn't really a good fit. Ended up finding a place called Blue Ground, and what they are is they're an actual, like, you actually rent out the apartment, so it's usually for like a month stay minimum, I believe. We literally signed a rental agreement, we literally paid a security deposit which we got back, and I think this is a place where if you're doing a long-term stay, I would really recommend this, because it just is way more secure. Because I knew that I was going to be doing a week and a half there by myself, I just really wanted a really secure place, because again, this was my first time solo traveling, and so I wanted to feel really, really safe, and I really did in this place. It was a really, really great area. I love the 2nd arrondissement. It was a 20-minute walk to Tuileries Garden. Literally every single accommodation that we looked at, I was just comparing it to how far it was from Tuileries Garden, because I was like, I know I'm going to be going there like every day if I can. So yeah, it was a 20-minute walk from there, so it was really, really great. Yeah, it was beautiful. I didn't feel unsafe at all. I felt really great. It was pretty clean. Just a really nice part of Paris. There's no shortage of like restaurants, places to eat, anything like that. Moving on to what to actually do in Paris. Of course, I have to cover museums. I feel like that is just a quintessential Paris thing. For me, my favorite museum I went to was, and I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's Musee de L'Orangerie. I can't ever say that. This is home to Claude Monet's water lilies, which honestly, seeing that in person made me so emotional. I don't know what it is about it. I honestly, as I saw it, it was so beautiful and so cool to see something that I've seen online and I've just wanted to see forever. It was just so beautiful. I feel like this museum is home to a lot of really amazing pieces from Matisse and Picasso. So many beautiful things in there. It's also a really, really good sized museum. It's not too big at all. You can get it done within like an hour or two, honestly, and see everything, which I think is really great. It's not a museum that's going to fill up your whole day, and it's at Tuileries Garden, which is a great location, so I definitely recommend that museum. I also went to Musee Rodin, which was beautiful as well. It had a lot of beautiful statues, and I should have prefaced this before I started talking about museums. I am not like art girly. I don't know a lot about art, but I can appreciate great art. This is just a really beautiful one to go to. It was really small as well, so a really great one to do just for like an afternoon. I was there for just a couple of hours. It also has a beautiful like outdoor bit and had a beautiful water fountain grass area where a lot of people were just lying there and enjoying the sun, which I loved. Another one I loved going to was Musee D'Orsay. This one, if you're a Gossip Girl fan, this is the one that Blair meets Prince Louis at. It was really, really cool to see this in person after, you know, seeing it on Gossip Girl and just seeing it online for so long. This one is a little bit of a bigger museum, so this one takes a little bit more time, but it's home to so many great artists, Monet, Van Gogh. It was so cool to see some of Van Gogh's artwork in real life. Obviously, the one that everyone has to go to at least once in their life is the Louvre. This one is just, I mean, it's the most famous museum in the world for a reason. Home to just the most amazing pieces of artwork and just always a fun one to go to. My favorite room is the room with all the statues. It's just so stunning. I definitely think though, if you don't have a lot of time in Paris to go to one of the other museums I just mentioned, the Louvre, you need a lot of time in there to see, like I think it would take you a couple of days to actually go and see everything. And lastly, we actually did go to the Dior Gallery, which I think was really interesting. If you're a bit more into fashion, big fan of Dior, it's so cool to see. This one is quite a small museum as well, so you could definitely do it within an hour or two. It takes you through all of like Christian Dior's life, all of the designs, everything like that. I want to note as well, with all of the museums, I did book them before I went on the trip, but I will say I did go to Musee D'Orsay for free. I went there on the first Sunday of the month in June, and you do have to pre-book these tickets, but it's free of charge. So if you are in Paris on the first Sunday of the month, I definitely recommend making that a museum day and booking your museum tickets online. Apart from museums, the other kind of activity based thing I did was going to a sewing class, a workshop, I guess. This is something that was actually so much fun to do. They actually teach you how to sew a bag similar to the classic flap Chanel bag, and I just thought that was really cool. It was something just so different to doing like a cooking class or, you know, things like that people normally do in Paris. I'd never seen anyone really do this. I booked this through the MinieMe Paris website. They have a bunch of different workshops for different things. This is my bag that I made, and I love her so much. You get to pick like everything. Pick the size, you pick whether you want it slouchy or structured. I went for a kind of slouchy medium-sized bag. I just think this is the coolest like souvenir to take back from Paris. Like I always look at this bag and think about Paris and think about how I made it. Like it's just so cool. So if you're looking for something really cool in Paris to do that's like different from the norm, I definitely recommend going to MinieMe. It's such a cool space, such a cool vibe. They speak both English and French. Like Jazz and I both said at the end of the trip, like the day that we did that was like the best day. Like I had the most fun ever doing it, so I highly recommend if it's something you could be interested in. Other than that though, Jazz and I basically just spent the whole time just going to different gardens. Like I literally feel the most at peace and the most at home sitting at the Parisian gardens. Like I don't know what it is about it. It's just the most calming, most peaceful place to me. It is my happy place, genuinely. I love a Parisian garden, and it's literally what I flew to Paris to go to, is the gardens. I literally just wanted to sit at the gardens all day, every day. Anytime we had like a free like afternoon or morning, I was like, we're going to the gardens. It's like just my favorite place. Gardens we loved going to was obviously Tuileries Garden. It just holds such a special place in my heart. I love Tuileries Garden. I love the green chairs, I love the water fountain, everything about Tuileries Garden I love. We also went to Luxembourg Gardens a few times, which was, I'd never been there, it's my first time going there this time, and oh my god, it is the most dreamy, beautiful place. Speechless, like I can't even describe how beautiful Luxembourg Gardens are. A garden that I actually loved going to, and I wouldn't actually call this a garden, it's more of a park. I feel like this is more where the locals would go. I feel like Tuileries in Luxembourg is very like touristy, but this place was so beautiful, but less like statues and flowers. It's more like a cute little park where the locals would go and chill, and I can never pronounce this, so don't get me for it, but it's called Place des Vosges. I can never like pronounce that. This was such a great place to go. I went there I think at least like 3 times. This park was so beautiful. It's just like a little like square with little like water fountains and little grassy areas, and you just go and you lie down at the grassy areas. We just brought like a picnic blanket and a towel, and we literally just laid there, read our books. Just a beautiful little like chill place to just chill and vibe, and just everyone that goes there literally just lies in the sun and just lies on the grass and chills, and it was great. So the Carette cafe is right across from it, and Chez Janou is like a 4-minute walk, but I'll get into the food in a bit. And the last kind of like garden park area that we love to go to is the Palais Royal Gardens. It is very close to Tuileries, so we'd often just like do both. Like we'd go through Palais Royal, sit there for a bit, and then also go to Tuileries. I don't know why we did that, but it's very close by, so you can do both, and it's just a chill place. I feel like it's smaller than Tuileries, so it's definitely a lot more chill. I feel like a lot more locals go to Palais Royal. Okay, some of the more touristy things that we did was obviously going to the Eiffel Tower. We did have a night there where we just chilled and watched it sparkle, and it was just a really beautiful night. I love seeing the Eiffel Tower sparkle. There's just a feeling about it. I don't know, you have to do it. at least once in your life. I will do it as many times as I can in my life, but it's just such a beautiful experience seeing it sparkle, and everyone like claps and cheers when it sparkles, and it's just so cute. We also went and saw the Arc de Triomphe. Now last time I was in Paris, I actually did go up the Arc de Triomphe, but they really make you work for the view because it's just stairs, there's no elevator, so keep that in mind. But we did go and just see the Arc de Triomphe this time, we didn't go up it. And next, I don't know if this is like a tourist area, but I'm just calling it that, but we also went to Montmartre. Montmartre is like one of my favorite areas to go to. It's like the artist district of Paris. It's so beautiful. We went up to the Sacré-Cœur, we looked at the view, we walked around looking at the different like markets and cafes and all that. It's just a really nice place to just walk around. We just went there on a Sunday and we just chilled out and just walked around, looked at everything. We saw the Wall of Love. We went to the TikTok viral photo booth. It's just a nice area to chill out, and it's just one of my favorite areas in Paris. Now there were a few like day trips that we took. Disneyland for me is a must. I'm a huge Disney kid. I love a Disneyland so much, and so to me I will always go there whenever I can. But Disneyland is really easy to get to. From most train stations, it's about a 40-minute train and just takes you directly there. Another day trip that I love is going to see the Palace of Versailles. This is my second time going and I absolutely love it so much. It's just such a cool place to go. It just takes you to a different time and place in the world. It's just so cool, the amount of history that's there. This again I believe was a 40-minute train ride as well, and I recommend booking the passport tickets that gets you access to the actual palace itself and the gardens, because you have to see both whilst you're there. You might as well. I recommend getting there as early as you can. I think we got there about 10 o'clock, but I think you can go at like 9. Going straight to the Hall of Mirrors, because that's when you're gonna get like the least amount of people in there. And then we actually went to the gardens first before going and seeing the rest of the palace, because I feel like most people do the palace first and then do the gardens, so doing it the other way around made it just less busy, which was really nice. One of the most fun things that we did was renting one of the golf carts that you can drive around. It's so much fun. You do have to bring your driver's license with you or a passport or something, so make sure you bring ID with you if you do want to hire one of these things out. I would highly recommend it though. It's so much fun. I love driving the little golf cart around the gardens, and honestly the gardens are so big that if you don't hire the golf cart, you just wouldn't be able to see all of the gardens if you didn't hire the golf cart. It's so worth it to me. It was so fun driving it around. It's probably like my highlight from that day. The last day trip we did was to Giverny to see Monet's gardens. This place is so beautiful. It is Claude Monet's house. It's a little house and garden that he built, and obviously famous like water lily pond is there that he painted, obviously the water lilies, and it's just the most serene like little bit of heaven on earth. Like it's honestly so beautiful. Like I can't even describe how beautiful it was. I honestly just recommend you go there. His house is so beautiful. It's like my dream little French countryside house that I would love to have one day. Okay, moving on to where to eat. Obviously France has amazing food, and these are just some of the places we ate at. Again, these are a bit touristy, recommended by TikTok, so there definitely are other little gems there, but honestly I feel like we didn't actually plan a lot of places to go and eat. We just wanted to wander around and see like what there was, and that's like the best way to find food, I feel like. But these were some of the places that we loved and we kept going back to. So starting with cafes first, this is a very basic bitch place, but Cafe Kitsune, I adore their iced white chocolate matcha. It's my favorite thing. I got it so much when I was over there. They have a few Cafe Kitsunes around like the first arrondissement around Tuileries. We also did visit Cafe de Flore, which again, if you've been on TikTok, you will have seen this. I tried the viral hot chocolate and it was good. It was great. The vibe was really good, but you could tell that everyone there was like, came from TikTok. It's a cute vibe, but I don't know if I would eat there again. It is very expensive. I don't know if you need to check it out, if that makes sense. But if you want to, it's beautiful, but if you don't really care that much, I would give it a miss. Another viral cafe is Carette, and this one, I think the hot chocolate was the best at Carette. I haven't tried Angelina's. I think Angelina, Carette, and Cafe de Flore are like the 3 viral hot chocolate places you need to try, but Carette to me was the best. Okay, for restaurants now, these are a few that I will always recommend. I will always go back to when I go there. The first obviously is the Big Mama group, all of their restaurants, Pink Mama, Big Love and Ober Mama. We did go to all three of them, and I think for me, I actually loved Big Love the most. It's like the smallest little joint. It's just a really cute little vibe, whereas Pink Mama and Ober Mama are very like, they're bigger and very, very beautiful and well decorated, and I love the decor in there. But I think Big Love is just like the smaller, it feels like a little family, just like restaurant. We did get the truffle pasta, every single one though. We were obsessed with truffle pasta on this trip. I definitely do think you need to go to one of the Big Mama group restaurants at least once in your life if you're in Paris. It's definitely worth it, and the food is amazing. We also did love the truffle pasta at Maria's, and this was a restaurant actually really close to our accommodation, so that's why we went there, because we just stumbled across it and it was beautiful. It had this truffle ravioli and it was amazing. We actually went there like 2 or 3 times, I believe. I recommend the truffle pizza as well. It's a really good truffle pizza there too. Moving on to like Asian style restaurants, of course I'm gonna go find Asian food there. A restaurant that I always go back to, and I went there in my last trip as well, and I went there twice on this trip, is called Hanoi 1988. This is just my favorite Vietnamese restaurant, I'd say, in the whole world. Honestly, it has the most fresh, beautiful Vietnamese food ever. The bo bun salad and the pho are like I still dream about that pho. Honestly, I was so excited to go back there just for the pho. I so recommend. I literally told them, I was like, I will always come back to this restaurant whenever I come to Paris. It's so good. The last 2 restaurants are from TikTok, very TikTok famous restaurants, but the first one is Chez Janou. I went there twice, once by myself and once with Jasmine, and it was so good. The first time I got steak frites, and the second time we got like a ravioli dish. I can't remember what it's called. Both dishes really, really great, but the main star of the show of why you go there is the chocolate mousse, the famous chocolate mousse. And honestly, it's so worth it, like so worth it. I still dream of that mousse. Like honestly, the first thing that I craved when I like came back to Australia was the chocolate mousse. I was like, I need that again. And the last place is Le Relais de L'Entrecote. Can't pronounce that, but it is the famous steak frites place. It is the place that always has such a long line outside of it. You need to get there at least like 20 minutes before opening, because otherwise there's gonna be a huge line. I think I got there 10 minutes after opening and I had to wait like half an hour in the line, but it was so worth it. This place, they only serve steak frites, so that's the only thing on the menu, and all they ask you is if you would like rare or medium rare, and I went with rare. It was so good. Frites as well, the fries, so good. It comes with like 2 servings and it's about 30 euro. Alright, we're down to the last category that I'm going to talk about, which is where to shop. You can go see everything I bought from Paris. I did a whole Paris haul, so you can go and watch that. The main places we did a lot of damage was actually at Ganni. I loved Ganni. The next place I would say was at the pharmacy. The French pharmacy is insane. Again, you can see everything I bought in the haul. They have amazing skincare. So we did a lot of damage at the pharmacy. Other than that, we went to a lot of different thrift stores, and I'll list a few of our favorite ones on screen. The star one though that we went to a lot, because they have a lot of them around, is Kilo Shop. We found the most things there. They have the best range of like affordable to like expensive. Kilo Shop's just great, so I highly recommend. If you are like me though and love yarn and crochet and knitting, I did go to a yarn store called Lil Weasel. This again was like a 4-minute walk from where I stayed, which was very, very dangerous. I went there a couple of times, but I only bought a few things, but it's a really cute little store. Lastly, we didn't actually shop here because we can't afford it, but I always love coming here, and that's Galeries Lafayette. It's just the most beautiful shopping center ever. It's got mainly like luxury stores, which is why we couldn't afford anything in there, but I will always go back there even if I can't afford anything. It just has the most beautiful interiors, the decor, the interior architecture of it, so beautiful. It also has a rooftop that you can go up to it for free, and you can see the Eiffel Tower. It's a beautiful rooftop view. So yeah, I recommend going to Galeries Lafayette just to check out the building. It's a beautiful building. Oh my god, I feel like I've been talking forever, but we're down to, I guess, how much I budgeted for my trip, and this is all very rough because I honestly haven't actually gone and looked through my bank account to see exactly how much I spent, but I will go a little bit into how much this trip kind of cost me. For all those people who kind of want to do a similar trip to what I did, this is kind of how much it all cost. And I'm going to run through this so quick because I feel like my camera's going to die. There are a few things that I did book before, so this is money that I spent before actually going on the trip, and that was flights, tickets for museums, Disneyland, things like that, and also accommodation. Like I mentioned in the beginning, my accommodation ended up being about 5 to 6k in Australian dollars just for Paris. Flights as well. Flights put me back at around 2,000 Australian dollars. Tickets for museums and everything cost about 100 Australian dollars. I believe Disneyland was about 150 Australian dollars. And then I also did go to 2 Harry Styles concerts, one in Paris, one in London, and then an Arctic Monkeys concert. All of those tickets were booked obviously before the trip, and I don't actually remember how much all those were, but I don't think they were that expensive. For spending money over there, like I said, I did save up so much for this, but again, if you want to do a trip like this, by no means do you need to save up this much. You can do this way cheaper than I did. You don't have to go as hard on the shopping like I did. You can eat at cheaper places, you can not take as many Ubers, you can stay in cheaper accommodation. It doesn't have to cost this much, okay? But for me, I think I went over there with roughly 10,000 Australian dollars. Now that translates roughly to like 6,600 euros, and that had to last me 5 weeks. I roughly budgeted 50 euros per day for food and then 150 euros for like spending, and that spending included like transport, so like if I bought a train or an Uber. I also bought a SIM card over there, that was about 40 euros for the whole month. Different things like that. Honestly, like some days fluctuated. Like some days I did spend the whole 50 euros or more on food. Some days I literally spent like 20 euros. Some days I didn't shop at all, so I didn't really use my 150 euro spending everyday budget, and some days I went over. Like it just really like fluctuates, but that's kind of like the rough like how I budgeted. Honestly, I didn't spend all of it. I did come home with quite a bit money left over. I don't know, again, it all really depends on what kind of trip you want to do, what kind of things you want to do, what your kind of spending habits are. But that's how much I brought over. That's everything I did. So I hope this helps someone if you are also planning to do kind of like a month in Paris like I did, or if you just wanted to get some Paris recommendations. And I hope this video was helpful. Paris again is somewhere that I'm always going to go back to. I love Paris. I feel like I'm gonna go back there as often as I can. I really want to go back there next year as well. So yeah, if you guys have any recommendations for Paris, places you loved in Paris, leave them in the comments down below. Let's just all chat about Paris, because it's just my favorite thing. I literally have been talking about Paris for over an hour now, so I'm gonna go. Hope it was helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on my socials, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!